All right. Hey, welcome to Investing with Keto. This is episode 2 of Investing with Keto. And today I've got a special guest with me. His name is Nick Ragland Johnson. And we're going to hear about his story, how he, being from a PE teacher to basically living rent free. So, anyways, I want to introduce my special guest here. Nick, how are you today?
Hey, Keto. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
All right, thank you. Now, kind of take us back, kind of give us a little brief history, a little background of who you are.
All right, so I was born and raised in Southeast Seattle, right off of Rainier Avenue, and I attended school, and in my neighborhood. I went to Franklin High School, and then I've always liked sports, and I was able to earn a full ride scholarship to Northern Arizona, and I played there and studied physical education. And then after that, I worked for the Forest Service in 2013 and 2014 as a forestry technician on a wildland fire engine. And then I also worked with the Mormon Lake Hot Shots for one season. And then I ended up moving back to Seattle. And I knew I wanted to buy a house. That was my goal when I was 22, was to get a house. I didn't know where, but I knew that I would have to fix it up, and I knew that was going to be expensive. So I reached out to a friend of mine, and he's a contractor, and he took me on. I started sweeping floors and just learning what a full rehab looks like. It was a house up on Capitol Hill, and I thought I was going to only be there for a couple of weeks, but I ended up staying there for a little bit over a year, and I just learned a lot, and it was just really empowering, learning from him and just getting a better understanding. And then I was able to purchase to rewind a little bit, during the Forest Service, I was able to live, we didn't have to pay for any food. So we would go off on 2-week assignments. We work 14 days, 16 hours a day, most of the time. And I was able to save about $40,000 in 2 years. And that was my down payment. And I wanted to find a house that had the most bedrooms so I could house hack it. And I didn't know what that term was back then, but I wanted to try and live rent free. And so my real estate agent, he showed me this house that was in Skyway, and it had been on the market for over 300 days. And I just wasn't really sure. It was a nice layout, had 4-bed, 2-bath, and it was off a private road. It was a really nice area. I liked it, but I was definitely skeptical of why it had been on the market for so long. But it was listed for 250. I offered 240, and they countered at 245. And back then, a few days after, I felt like I was having buyer's remorse over that $5,000. But it's definitely been a really good investment. And so I was able to get my brother, and then my girlfriend, then my now wife, and another one of our friends to help me with the mortgage. And they're all paying about $500. And I think my mortgage was like $1,475 at the time. And yeah, it was really empowering just to be able to see that.
Right. So what was it for you? What was it for you that kind of started this? Like, working for the Forest Service, and you knew you wanted a house. Like, what what made the switch for you? So you know what, I'm actually I want to do this. I guess what inspired you to take that route, saying, you know what, I'm getting a couple rooms, I'm just gonna, rent it out to, to people, right? Because most people who start out, they just want to buy a house, right, and they just live there. But what inspired you just kind of think beyond just, just having, your own place to stay?
Um, I don't know if there's one particular person, but I honestly, I really don't know. I don't know who exactly, inspired that, but a couple of friends of mine had, they had bought in real estate, and I know that rent in Seattle isn't cheap, and I know to be able to have a mortgage that's around the same price as rent, to me that made sense.
Mm-hmm.
So just that in itself, that made sense to me. And sometimes I overcomplicate things. So I try my best to make things simple, and that was simple for me.
Mm-hmm.
That was, yeah, it was really empowering.
Nice. Now, so you bought the house. Like, how much work did it, that you have to put into this property that you bought?
I took the siding off, and then repainted it. I took out, it had an old furnace, and I ended up getting that decommissioned. And so I took out all the duct work and got a heat pump installed. I had to see the main sewer line, it it needed to be replaced, or the side sewer. So about 30 feet of that had to be replaced. And that was definitely a struggle. I did most of it myself and just really did it off of YouTube. So that, painting the interior, exterior, like I said, and like a lot of little other things. The electrical panel, I had to get that switched out twice because the first person didn't do it right. And the drainage system was really bad because it used to have a carport, and everything was, it was basically like a flood. And that was really nerve wracking because although people were helping pay the mortgage, there's a lot of other, I was the only person taking on all the risk. And I'm the only person who has to really deal with the issues around the house. And that definitely, that definitely wore on me. It was worth it, but it wasn't easy, definitely. So,
Mm.
but, I mean, just little things sort of like that. But it wasn't, I didn't take a bunch of drywall out or replace any plumbing. Or actually, I did do a couple years later, I switched out with the PEX and insulated the crawl space and, things like that.
Mm-hmm. So being that this was first your property, what kind of lessons have you learned, and moving forward, what things may you might have changed, or what things you would have improve on?
Lessons I've learned, I think that just buying, for anybody else out there, because I only have one property, but just learning, I think Bigger Pockets has been a really big resource for me. And I found out about them in 2016, but I really didn't pay much attention. One of my roommates actually that was living there told me about Bigger Pockets, and I checked it out, and I put it off for like a year or two. And then, the last couple of years, I've really been listening more to the podcast and all the recommendations that they have. And it's amazing, the knowledge, the wealth that is out there if you want to listen to it, and anybody can do it. So
Nice. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like, you've listened to these podcasts, and you're actually taking action. I mean, this is your very first property. Um, so, what's your plans moving forward? What are you looking to do?
right now I'm renting out my first property, and I'm looking for another property that is in Southeast Seattle. And my criteria is I wanted to have an unfinished basement, so I can convert the basement into an accessory dwelling unit, because in Seattle now, even if it's a single family lot, and if the house has a basement, you can convert the basement and have two dwelling units. And if there's a garage, if you're lucky enough to have the garage, you can turn that into a third dwelling unit. So that's my business model. And because it's hard to find a multifamily in Seattle that's not really expensive. And
Hmm.
I think you have to just listen to a lot of people too on the podcast. You have to create them, and there are ways to do that if you're willing to look into it. And I have a lot to learn. I'm trying to look into the permit processes and everything that has to take place. So I'm doing my due diligence, but I'm actively looking for a house that I can turn into 2 to 3 units, and
Hmm.
ideally take it down to the studs and do new everything, and then you know hopefully provide housing to people that I know. Like I'm a PE teacher, and so for my students, their families, other teachers, and just keeping things affordable in Southeast Seattle. And I really want to focus on that because I was born and raised there, and so if I can, I'm just trying to keep myself accountable. And it's nice talking with you and that definitely helps me push forward and keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, sounds like you're doing a great job moving forward. So what is, you know, ultimately, like how many, you have, how many properties are you looking to acquire, say, in the next 5 to 10 years for you?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. I've been lately just trying to figure out like what's enough for me. And I know real estate, there's a lot of different ways to go about it, and it can be overwhelming sometimes. And so like I'm just trying to focus on just this specific model and just stick to it. And really, I know I'm going to be making a lot of mistakes and learning a lot, but my goal is to take what I've learned, during this next property, to pass that on to other people I know with, unfinished basements, and how other people can take advantage of, unused space, and trying to get other people to see the value, in those spaces in neighborhoods in Seattle where rents are expensive, and, we really need to accommodate more people. So I don't really have a number, but I think I'm gonna just, see how this next one goes. And I want to keep it simple and just, repeat it, maybe one or two a year.
Nice. Nice. So, because I know you're just starting out, and what advice, would you give someone that is just maybe starting out just like you know, and maybe they haven't bought their first property yet, or what kind of, advice would you give them to encourage them?
I think, well, for me, I think you just got to decide on what sacrifices you want to make. And I definitely think that house hacking is really powerful, and that it can make an expensive market like Seattle seem a little bit more affordable if you can have roommates. So either if you're comfortable, like I first started out, doing it by the room, or if you want to, have separate units, and so you don't have to interact with those people, depending on, how comfortable you want to be. But I definitely think as many beds as possible, and yeah, as many beds as possible, and try and, know your neighborhoods and whatnot. I think that's also helpful. But just to get something, and it's scary, I know, at first, but just to take action and get out of your comfort zone and ask questions. So
Mhm. Nice. So getting your first property, like, what was scary? What was scary for you? What was something that maybe you are a little bit afraid of at first?
um I was more concerned with just why I was on the market for so long, because it seemed like it was an ugly house, but I saw the potential in it, and I didn't know if I was gonna uncover something in the backyard, or what I was gonna find, something bizarre. And like, I spent a lot of time in the crawl space, and I'm claustrophobic, so
Mhm.
but I got used to it, and I thought I was gonna find something really bizarre down there. I think they found a dead cat and some dead rats,
Oh,
but
really?
um, nothing. Yeah, I didn't find anything crazy. The electrical panel was definitely, I was getting water in the electrical panel because it used to be a garage, and it was converted. And that was probably like the most scariest thing, because there was water that was sitting on top of it was pooling up on top of the breaker. And, I talked to a friend of mine who's an electrician, and he definitely scared me. So I was stuffing insulation up, so it could absorb the water. And then I ended up going down. McClendon's really helped me out through all this, especially with my side sewer. They basically walked me through it. I probably spent, 8 hours with this guy, and he's drawing pictures, and I was showing him kind of what I was doing. So, but I ended up spraying spray foam, through the mast, and it worked. And so that was nice to have that worry gone.
Mm, nice, nice. Nick, I just want to congratulate you on your success. I mean, being new and just starting out and just taking on, your first project, and sounds like, you're in a process of, acquiring another one, and one of many more, right? So I just want to congratulate you on taking that first step, and just being bold. You know what I mean? You are a success story for those that are, want to start out in real estate and maybe don't know what to do. And it seems like you've got a motto that you're sticking to something and you're moving forward with it. So I just want to, congratulate you on that, and I want to acknowledge you for just who you are. So, and how can our listeners, connect with you and find out more about what you're doing and the project that you're working on?
I actually started a YouTube channel because you encouraged me to do that, get out of my comfort zone. So I said, okay, I'll do it and I'll follow through with it. But I'm really not very active on social media. I mainly just follow other people, and that's really been a way that I can, I've gotten a lot of information. But yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that.
All right. All right. So, all right. Well, Nick, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate that. And, I'm sure, we'll definitely down the road, maybe we'll do a follow up on your next project. All right.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be great. Thanks for having me,
All
Keto.
right. Well, thank you very much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
All right. Have a great day.